Crue-Trime. Crue Trime. Trime. Hi guys, welcome back in today's episode of Crue Trime.
True crime!
Crue Trime. Wait, Crue Trime. Did I say true crime? Who am I? This is the story of Wanda Holloway, Pom-Pom Mom. Before we get too far into the story, this episode of Crue Trime is sponsored. Let's hear from sponsor Sarah, shall we? Luisa is a jewelry company based here in the United States. They are focused on sustainability, quality, and using recycled materials wherever possible, which is awesome. Sustainability to me just means good, timeless, classic pieces that will really sort of last forever. The first piece is the Sia Silver. It retails for $59. These are sterling silver made of course, 100% recycled sterling silver. They look like tiny little safety pins. They're so cute and so stackable in the most dainty way. The next two pieces are very similar because they're the same earring, just in a different finish. One is silver and one is gold, and these are the Juvia. These retail for $49 each. I'm obsessed. They're the most perfect weight. They feel very substantial on your ear, but they don't, tug down on your ear hole. That's super gross. All of the jewelry items come in these really beautiful little dust jackets. Love that. And I love the adjusted size, maybe a little bit better for earrings. And I know it's maybe a little bit early, but it's never too early to think about your mom, okay? So right now on AnaLuisa.com, to celebrate our moms, there's a Mother's Day sale. Everything is 15% off, and if you order before May 9th, it is guaranteed shipping on time for Mother's Day. Take a look around, see what your mom is gonna like. There are pieces of varying kind of degrees and price points. There's rings, bracelets, earrings, and necklaces. The pricing starts at $39 and works its way up from there, so there's really something for everybody, for every price point, for every taste. Check down in the description box. I put it right at the top so it's really easy to find. There's a clickable link. Click that and it'll take you right to Ana Luisa. You can browse to your heart's content and you can save 15% off on your purchase. Back to you, Crue Trime Sarah. This story is very relevant for our sponsors campaign today, which we love that. Let's get to the story. This one is really fun. Well, I mean, it's a happy ending of sorts. So it's unlike other Crue Trime episodes that we have done in the past. This one's a little bit lighter. Is it though? Let's get started. Wanda Holloway. All right, you guys, in Texas, football is serious. Okay, that's like life in Texas. And cheerleading, especially for the gals, it's serious. Deadly serious. I am so sorry. Wanda Webb was born in 1954 in the blue-collar outskirts of Houston, Texas, to a deeply religious and conservative family. Her father worked in a concrete plant in town, and her mother worked in the local school cafeteria. Growing up in the depressed, bleak Channelview, Texas, it made Wanda super driven. I am priming for my life today. Okay, so Miss Wanda was very driven. She was like almost desperate to have a better life, the picture perfect, picket fence kind of life. She was a very good student, very attentive. She was a gifted pianist, but what she really wanted to do was be a cheerleader. Now listen, that is relatable AF. Okay, when I was a youngster, I wanted to be a cheerleader so bad. Oh my God. My parents were like, can't you do like a real sport? I eventually did cheer for 1 year in high school, but I was so gangly and not good. I was not good. I still loved it though. I loved it. I'm really going off on a tangent now, but do you guys ever watch those like super intense cheer competitions on like ESPN? Like Bring It On style cheer competitions? Oh, they're incredible. Anyway, so Wanda needed to be a cheerleader bad, but her dad forbid it. Apparently cheerleading is, the devil's sport because the uniforms are, in her father's words, skimpy and whorish. Tight football pants and baseball pants, totally fine, because those are on dudes. Also, cheerleading uniforms in the late 60s were tame. Okay, Wanda was in high school in like 66 through like 69, 70. Those skirts were to the knees. There were a lot of socks happening. Anyways, so Channelview, Texas was a super working class town. Most of the people that lived there had jobs at the local refinery or something similar. So they all made the same amount of money, and anything more than that was seen as like prideful. Like you think you're so much better than everybody else, you know? Ambition basically was not favored in Channelview, Texas. So after graduating from high school in 1971, Wanda worked as a secretary and she married a man named Tony Harper. Shortly after that, Wanda became pregnant with her first child, a boy that they named Shane. And a few years later, Wanda gave birth to their second child, a daughter that they named Shanna. Well, listen, you know, in Channelview, Texas, husband, girl, and boy, achievement unlocked. Perfect life, right? Family of 4. You're doing good, Wanda. Do I look ghostly? You know what? Things were not so great because 3 years after Shanna was born, Wanda and Tony divorced. Wanda remarried a wealthy older man pretty soon after that, but that was short-lived. And then later, she and Tony tried to reconcile, but that was also a bust. So third time's a charm. Wanda married a man named C.D. Holloway. C.D. had an oil field service company. He was 20 years older and he had money. Jackpot, right? Wanda finally had the life that she'd been looking for her whole life. Her husband enjoyed, you know, being rich, and I mean, were they rich? It sounded like they were pretty rich. They didn't want for anything, especially the kids. Well, her husband also enjoyed nice things, you know, kind of the prestige, I guess, that comes with being a little bit more well-off, you know. So Wanda was always impeccably dressed, perfectly polite, and she was very much into being perfect in every way. But, you know, despite her tidy wardrobe and her pristine etiquette, she wasn't terribly gracious. She was viewed by many as like quite demanding and pretentious. She was like the original Karen. In fact, we should be calling those people Wandas. I kept thinking that my hair was just like thin right here. Y'all, it's white. Look at it. All right, so Verna Heath. Verna Heath was a year older than Wanda. She had grown up in the same town as Wanda, and they both had big hair and big shoulder pads. She lived in Wanda's neighborhood, just even a few blocks over, in a similar home. I read even that their home was like the exact same floor plan. Verna had a happy childhood. She was a decorated baton twirler. Baton twirling is like peak prissy girl goals, okay? If you were a baton twirler, ain't nobody messing with you. I was not a baton twirler, obviously. Anyways, Verna was married to a man named Jack Heath. He managed a local business, and they had 4 children, 3 sons, and a daughter named Amber. So Jack and Verna's daughter, Amber, was about the same age as Wanda's daughter, Shanna. Why can't I say that correctly? The girls were friends, which is how Wanda and Verna met. They shared in the typical mom duties, traveling in the same carpool circles and sometimes meeting for coffee or lunch, but they weren't what you would call friends. As Shanna and Amber grew into their tween years, they were definitely in the popular crowd at Alice Johnson Junior High School. The girls also attended the elite and pricey Alpha Gymnastics studio together. So with Shanna finally reaching the age for school sports, i.e. cheerleading, Wanda was pumped. So remember, Wanda was never allowed to be a cheerleader when she was growing up, so she was prepared to pay any amount, take Shanna wherever she needed to go to be coached. She was going to be a cheer mom, okay? It was happening. She had been planning this since Shanna was born, to be honest. And Shanna was a good kid and wanted to please her mom, but she really didn't love cheerleading. Really wasn't her jam. And she actually grew to dislike it because Wanda was so forceful about it. You know, she made her practice through illness and injuries, and even converted their garage into a practice space complete with like a tumbling floor and all that stuff. It was legit. On the other hand, Amber was a total natural. Verna had Amber in gymnastics and twirl classes since she could walk, and it showed. So Verna was known to go all out to make sure that Amber had the very best. When Amber and Shanna got to 7th grade, they tried out for the school's cheerleading squad, and interestingly, the cheerleaders are chosen by student vote. I didn't go to school in Texas, I didn't grow up in Texas, so let me know in the comments below if that's how it worked at your school, but that's weird. So the students audition, like there's a regular tryout with, you'd like do a routine, I guess, or whatever. There's like a regular tryout and the candidate pool is narrowed down, but then the student body votes on it. Like what? So anyway, there was 2 open spots that year, and there were 3 girls vying for the positions, and since the cheerleaders were chosen by student vote, we can all guess that it wasn't based on merit.
We've already so decided on Jamie.
Yeah, Courtney, this is not a democracy, it's a cheerocracy. I'm sorry, but I'm overruling you.
Amber loved cheer, and with Verna as her super tiger mom, she helped her run her one-day campaign. This sounds crazy to me. Well, the campaign consisted of, you know, hanging up a couple of posters in the school, and then Verna brought candy and flyers. Say, vote for Amber. Amber made the team. No surprise. Shanna did not. Also kind of no surprise. Anyway, Wanda was furious. Wanda complained to the school about the campaign, saying it was unfair to the students, and the next year she made it her mission to make sure that Shanna was going to be on that team. So Wanda had called up Shanna's dad, Tony, right, and said, you need to chip in because we need to run this campaign for our daughter next year. You know, she called him the next year, right? And we need to do something to make sure that she gets on this team. This is crazy. Anyway, so Wanda went and bought a bunch of promo stuff, like pencils and rulers that said, vote for Shanna for cheerleader. She was not about to be outdone by Verna and Amber with their stupid candies. Well, Wanda's campaign gifts backfired big time. Apparently, flyers and candy were allowed, but the printed pencils and the rulers were a violation of their election rules. Candidates are only allowed to hang up 2 posters in the halls along with, you know, campaign badges. And when Wanda showed up at the school and handed out the stuff anyway, a meeting was held at the school to address the issue. It was attended by the parents of the other candidates, including Verna. Well, they voted to disqualify Shanna from being eligible. So when that 8th grade cheerleading election happened, Amber was voted in as cheerleader and Shanna was not. So the next year, Shanna getting onto that cheerleading squad was not negotiable. Wanda had been watching with crazed jealousy. Amber getting her little trophies and wearing her little cheerleading outfit. You know, they only lived a couple blocks away. Yeah, so Wanda had been watching the past 2 years of Verna being a perfect cheer mom and like, how dare she? Wanda snapped. You know, how dare Verna get in the way of Shanna making cheerleader?
You better bring it. Oh, it's already been brought.
Wanda started making some plans, getting things in order for next year, you know? Did I even say when this took place? Sorry, I'm realizing now that I didn't say when any of this stuff took place. So this was like in the very, very late 80s, early 90s. So the first cheerleading tryout, I want to say happened in 1988 or 89. The second one happened in 1990, and then this last one was gonna happen in 1991. Wanda is thinking about this, right? You know, how are they going to compete against Verna and Amber? Well, you know what? What if something were to happen to Verna? Wouldn't Amber be so shattered with grief that she wouldn't be able to continue cheering? She'd have to drop out of the squad or like not even make it to tryouts? Wouldn't that mean that a spot would open up for Shanna? Wanda started hatching a plan. She knew that her ex-husband's brother, Terry Harper, well, she knew that Terry kind of had a shady past. He might be willing and able to help her. So Wanda met with Terry and she asked him, how much do you love your niece? What would you be willing to do to make her happy? She wanted to hire him to make Verna and Amber disappear. Terry, of course, was shocked. Was sure that she was kidding. He told her he didn't want anything to do with a crazy plan like that. And, you know, Wanda didn't press the issue, but she wasn't deterred. Now, at this point, what Wanda didn't know was that Terry went straight to his brother, Tony, and told him everything. Now, remember, Tony is Shanna's father, Wanda's first husband. Well, Tony told his brother Terry, call the police. That woman is crazy and she is capable of anything. Terry called the police. He told the sheriffs, you know, what was going on, what she had asked him to do, and they were like, yeah, okay, guy. They didn't believe him. It took them a while to believe it. I mean, certainly a cheer mom wasn't hiring a hitman. Murder for hire was not something that was, you know, super common in their small town, obviously. But Terry and Tony stood strong, and Terry was outfitted with a wire to wear for any future phone calls or meetings with Wanda. All right, so cut to Christmas Eve. Wanda is back on this murder for hire shit. and approaches Terry to schedule a meeting to discuss this plan, right? So over the next few weeks, Wanda and Terry meet a few times to discuss their plan, how to proceed. Should they be injured? Should they just be killed? Terry told Wanda that he would need $2,500 for Verna and $5,000 for Amber. Wanda didn't have that kind of money, just sort of at the ready. The value of that is about double today. Remember, this is like 1991, so that's today's equivalent of a total of $15,000 to get this done. Not everybody has $15,000 just liquid laying around that nobody's gonna notice is missing. Her husband, right? She decided to just go after Verna. Well, those don't match, do they? So remember, the police are listening in on this, and initially they didn't give it much thought, but after 6 separate conversations, they knew that Wanda was dead-ass serious, okay? So Wanda decided that Verna was, I guess, the better value for this deal. Amber would be so devastated by Verna's death that she would never be able to get through the cheer election in March. That would create an opening for Shanna. So on January 29th, 1991, after Wanda dropped Shanna off at church, she met with Terry and she gave him her diamond earrings as like a down payment for the hit on Verna. And when she put them down on the table, she kind of laughed a little bit and said, well, I can't pull the trigger myself, but I sure can do it this way. Hold on, let me do that again. Well, I can't pull the trigger myself. Nope. Well, I can't pull the trigger myself, but I sure can do it this way. It's probably not an accurate Texas accent, but you know what? I grew up in North Carolina, okay? Sue me. Maybe they don't say sure can, maybe they say sure can. I can't pull the trigger myself, but I sure can do it this way. So the next day, Wanda was at home watching Shanna practicing in their improvised cheer gym in the garage, and there was a knock at the door. It was the police. She invited them inside, she removed her jewelry, and then she told Shanna to call her grandma. It was going to be a while. Wanda was booked and charged with solicitation for capital murder and was released on $10,000 bond the next day. While waiting for the trial, Tony sued for primary custody of their 2 children, you know, since Wanda was feeling all murdery. And also because she refused to allow the kids to see a therapist to help them work through this ridiculous trauma that's happening around them. So the story was everywhere, okay? The media had dubbed Wanda the Pom-Pom Mom, which is the best name I've ever heard. So cheerleading, which is highly valued in Texas, it became a national joke. Tabloid news shows like A Current Affair and Geraldo Rivera and Sally Jessy Raphael, you remember her, right? Well, they were all over it. Verna Heath refused to go on camera, but Terry Harper was happy to speak to anybody who would listen. Well, as they waited for the trial and all of that, life kind of went on. The girls went back to school. Shanna remained at the same school. Amber, not surprisingly, was elected to the cheerleading squad. Shanna did not try out. So despite the wishes of her father, Tony, Shanna remained at Alice Johnson Junior High School. But Shanna was like a fly in the soup, man. Poor thing. Total social outcast. All of the news coverage and stuff, I mean, it just made Shanna's life a living nightmare. How terrible. She said that she felt like there was a neon sign stuck to her forehead that said, Pom-Pom Mom's daughter. Wanda's case went to trial on August 23rd, 1991, and it lasted about 2 weeks. The prosecution centered their case around the wiretapped conversations and the other witness testimony about Wanda's reaction to Shanna not making the cheer squad. The defense attorney said that Tony was just conspiring with his brother Terry to frame Wanda so that he could sue them for sole custody of the kids, which was not a strong position considering that he had never asked to change their custodial arrangement in the 11 years that they had been divorced and sharing custody at that point. The credibility of Terry was severely damaged because his estranged wife testified at the trial that he was abusive to her and that he threatened her to not reveal what they were doing. Not to mention, he had a record of drug and alcohol abuse and DUIs. So Wanda was portrayed in the trial as vicious, ruthless, vengeful person who she plays God because she's got money. Let's highlight some more because I'm feeling very extra. The prosecution hammered on Wanda's tone and the emotions or emotionlessness on the recordings and how she'd mentioned 16 times about not getting caught. And at one point, she even said she had been thinking about doing it for 2 years. Wanda even took the stand in her own defense. She admitted to saying many angry things about the Heaths, but she insisted through tears that the plot to murder Verna was Terry's idea. And she didn't back out of it because she was afraid of him. So on September 3rd, 1991, the jury deliberated for around 6 hours, and they listened again to all of the recorded conversations between Wanda and Terry, and they unanimously found Wanda guilty. At the sentencing, she begged for a non-custodial punishment, like no jail time. The caucasity. I mean, okay, hire a hitman to kill your cheer mom rival. Getting caught is punishment enough. Wanda was sentenced to 15 years in prison. Her defense team immediately appealed, as you do, and Wanda was released. Wanda was released on September 5th, 1991 on $75,000 bond while the appeal process played out. How the fuck does that work? In the state of Texas, felons that are sentenced to 15 years or less are permitted to post an appeal bond, and it makes conditional release possible. Isn't that fun? So, plot twist. It was soon discovered that one of the jurors was on probation at the time of the trial and shouldn't have been allowed to serve on the jury at all, which created a mistrial. So during the jury selection, you know, they're interviewing the jurors and asking, have you ever been convicted of a crime, blah, 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 and the one answered truthfully, yes, and the judge mistakenly assumed that that meant that they had also finished the terms of whatever punishment they might have had, which was incorrect. So that's how that happened. So the entire trial and the verdict were overturned, and Wanda got a new trial. Okay, but in the meantime, in September of 1992, Wanda Holloway filed a $3 million defamation lawsuit against another family unrelated to the Heath case, who had gone on TV saying that something similar had happened to them. They went on the Maury Povich show. So this mother and daughter told Maury that Wanda had wanted them killed because of a rivalry with one of their kids and her other child, Shane. So many lawsuits. Ooh. A $1 million lawsuit, defamation suit was filed against Phil Donahue, People magazine, and Wanda's ex-husband, Tony Harper, by another local mom when a photo of her daughter, Nicole, was published, misidentified as Amber Heath. Oh, my skin looks crustastic. Okay, so almost 5 years later, the new trial was set to begin on October 7th, 1996. And rather than go through another lengthy ordeal and risk a worse sentence, Wanda pled no contest a month before the trial was supposed to start. So pleading no contest, it doesn't admit that you're guilty, but it kind of has the same effect and is often used in plea deals. So yeah, Wanda had a plea deal. She was sentenced to 10 years in prison and a $10,000 fine. And all that said, she was eligible for probation after only 6 months. And you guessed it, she was released on March 1st, 1997 to complete the rest of her 9.5-year sentence on probation at home. She was also given 1,000 hours of community service, but come on. A civil suit was actually filed against Wanda by the Heath family for $150,000. They won. And that payout was paid actually by Wanda's home insurance company. Is that part of coverage that you can get as your homeowner's insurance? Everybody look at your premiums. See, does it cover civil suits against hiring hitmen? Nobody look at that. So Shanna grew up to be a school teacher and most recently a real estate agent. She's the mother of 2 children. Her relationship with her mother, Wanda, is not great, but gets better with dealing with the kids. They don't discuss the murder plot. Surprise, surprise. And Wanda called the entire incident a mistake. She says she was sorry. So that is the story of Wanda Holloway, the Pom-Pom Mom. Thank you again to our sponsor, Ana Luisa. Make sure that you click the link in my description box to shop for all the goods. Today's video also reveals the winner of last week's giveaway, so just check my last video's comments. It'll be a pinned comment. Congratulations to that winner. Congratulations to you. If you have a Crue Trime story that you think would be interesting to me, I'd love to hear it, so just leave that down in the comments. Thank you so much for hanging out today and for watching this video. I really appreciate it. If you want to see more videos like this one, then consider subscribing to this channel before you leave today. I upload new videos here on YouTube every week, and you can follow me on most of the other social channels. That is it for now. I will catch you next time in the next video. Bye! T-R. Wait, not T. I'm rambling. I look like a ham. Wow, I'm really creasing really badly. I'm really doing great today. Oh my god, this microphone was in it the whole fucking time. Great. Wow, that's fucking way too much. I cannot say that word. Particularly. A $1 million... Oh lord. You like my Dwight Schrute bangs?